Welcome to the NFL Power Rankings after week 3. Why week 3 do I finally put out a Power Rankings vid? Well, typically, I believe teams are recognized for how good or bad they are after 3 weeks. You kind of know what a team is all about following 3 weeks of NFL play. Before we get to the top echelon, the top 10, we gotta go to the bottom part. The bottom 3 teams. These are the teams that I think are the worst of the NFL this season so far. Subject to change, obviously. At number 3, it's a tie. Look, I really couldn't figure out which team was worse between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans, man. One team in Jacksonville has the pieces ready to win, and yet they just can't. I don't know what exactly it is that they are having issues with. Is it their coaching? Probably. Is Lawrence one of the bigger weak or first overall pick quarterback busts? Seems like it. Seems like that's more common in recent weeks in the NFL than ever before. It's a defense not pulling their weight. Yeah, another first overall pick bust. Looks kind of like it. Walker hasn't been doing that great. And Doug Peterson is just not it as a head coach. He's got to be on his way out, man. Very shortly soon. And then the Tennessee Titans, Will Levis as your quarterback is certainly a choice. It's not a great choice so far. It seems like every week he makes kind of a dumb, weird decision with the ball. And it's always memeable, by the way. His the meme where he's on his knees, just like it after his horrible throw and interception. I think that was his fumble lateral attempt was crazy bad. Tennessee might just have a big quarterback problem, but let's not take off the hook the fact that the running game isn't perfect. And while the defense is pretty good, all things considered, this team is being very much held back by a quarterback that really was very developmental and too green. It probably could have used some tooling underneath the hood. That's my bottom 3, my third, which is 2 teams. That's fun. Number 2, got the New England Patriots for the bottom 3. New England. There's some stuff to build on. Obviously, beating the Bengals in week 1 was a very good start where people are like, okay, maybe the Patriots are actually that team. Like, they can be good with the quarterback and the team that they got. No, Jared Mayo is not a terrible coach, it seems like, but this Patriots team is clearly on the rebuild. I think they're one of the worst teams, obviously. And quarterback Jacoby Brissett is just trying his damn best to throw the ball. And not only not getting enough of the time, but also he's backup worthy for a reason. It's good to get Drake May to sit and watch, but he's not necessarily getting the best show of a QB. Brissett might be very smart, but it's definitely a bit of an issue for him throwing the ball. And their best player on offense especially is Rondell Stevenson. Good running back, great running back. Again, there's like pieces there, but this is clearly in rebuild mode following Bill Belichick's firing, and it was a much-needed rebuild. But number 2 on the bottom 3. The number 1 team, which I consider the best of the worst teams, is the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, obviously, the Patriots beforehand beat them in week 1, but I think the Bengals have a case where they are so close to being 1 and 2 at the same time. A bad penalty against the Kansas City Chiefs in week 2 definitely cost them a potential victory. And then you see Monday Night Football. They were keeping up with the Commanders of Washington, but like there's just something that they need to do. And like the Tennessee Titans or the Patriots mainly, I don't know what it is. I mean, they're 0-3, but the teams that they lost to have been pretty good teams, minus the Patriots. And Joe Burrow is still pretty decent. Is there drama based off of the wide receivers and their payment struggles, like Jamar Chase wanting more bag, and then T. Higgins with his franchise tag ploys? Is Zach Taylor truly just not bringing this team together? Or is it just always a pattern where the Bengals are just bad to start a year off? It's really interesting to really get into with that. But for the Cincinnati Bengals, they really need to turn it around quick, or their season is very much a loss in a division that might just leave them behind. With that, let's get into the top 10. The top 10 teams, according to me, MCK, who is obviously going to be correct, for the NFL following week 3. Before I, of course, get into the top 10, I got 2 honorable mentions. I got the Washington Commanders, who might actually have a legit star quarterback once again. It happens every few years where they get a random great quarterback. And Jaden Daniels is that guy. He's finally throwing it to McLaurin. That Monday Night Football game was absolutely crazy against my number 3 of the bottom 3. Or my number 1 of the bottom 3, excuse me. But with Washington, there's a lot to like. Their defense is still pretty good. And they just have that young rookie quarterback who's been a gunslinger. So happy to see that Washington, after getting rid of the stank that was Dan Snyder, has gotten a quarterback for the future. Don't ruin them. Don't ruin another quarterback. And then the Carolina Panthers aren't here because they're good. Far from it, obviously. But the way they punked out on the Raiders, who had previously beat the Ravens, that's got to be commendable for Carolina. And I actually thank them for giving Raiders fans like myself some pause on if their team is actually good or not. So going Carolina. Who knew? Just needed a quarterback change. Andy Dalton returning to prime form. Let's get started with number 10. We have the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are a 1-2 team. I think they're the only 1-2 team I have in the top 10. And why did I decide to put the Ravens up here? Well, simply put, this is, of course, being simply, the potential is still very much there for the Ravens. And they might have finally found their clicking formula, beating the Cowboys, who I still think is a half decent team, or at least on paper with a bunch of their different players, can be really good. And, Baltimore was a play away from beating the Chiefs, a toe away from beating the Chiefs. So you got to consider that into the assessment. And I think that early season woes will be put behind them once they finally get Derrick Henry completely moving for them. Lamar Jackson is still one of the better throwers, one of the best runners, even with Jaden Daniels kind of breathing down his neck for being a better running quarterback, and another quarterback that we might see later on this list. The Ravens, I think they can put it back together, and they'll certainly do that, I believe, this season. Number 10 for them. At number 9, the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are another one of these teams where people might be kind of confused why I put them on a top 10 list, because they haven't looked the best, especially last week when they lost to week 2, when they lost to the Atlanta Falcons in one of the more embarrassing losses that we saw. But this team still has a lot of the great pieces. They stopped what had seemed at the time a high-powered Saints offense. So that gets points for their defense going out there and helping them out. They got a lot of playmakers all over the field. They, of course, are missing A.J. Brown, so that might contribute to why they haven't been the best game changers. But I believe in Jalen Hurts as a quarterback to get consistency back for this Philadelphia Eagles squad. And, the East is, while not necessarily a cakewalk, it's still theirs to lose. So I say, even if Washington is closing in on number one in the nation, or number one in that division. So wild. The NFC East always has one of those years where it's just crazy coming up and down. But the Eagles, number 9, think they can get a lot better. Number 8 is the New Jersey Jets. The Jets finally got to see what Aaron Rodgers can really do, slinging the ball this week 3, against the New England Patriots. While that was kind of a boring game in my opinion. Jets have a lot of great pieces, and their defense is still very good on multiple fronts. From what I've seen, I think Rodgers is clicking in his form. A little bit of rust, obviously, got injured way before he could ever throw the ball last season. But now he seems like he is healthy, moving around very well, especially against the Patriots. We saw some throws on the run that were very vintage Aaron Rodgers. And when Aaron Rodgers is good, I think this Jets team is finally going to reach their full potential. I think they're going to be a pretty good squad this season. So I have them at number 8. Number 7, the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are kind of a surprise to be up here, to be honest. They lose Jordan Love in the first game when Love was looking like he could be, once again, a great quarterback next season, or this season. Gets injured, and now they have to plug in not Will Levis. They have to plug in a different quarterback. I already went blank on his name. And that quarterback, they actually have game planned him very well. Josh Jacobs has actually been a fantastic running back addition for the Packers. I think he's officially joined up. But the real surprise for the Packers, I think, is that this defense of the Packers has, I think 6 interceptions after the 3 weeks as a team, 6 picks. And that was not seen last season, where I know Joe Barry is the man who shall not be named in Packerland. But him being gone and a new defensive coordinator and a new structure has very much helped change this Packer team for the significantly better. And it's been fantastic to watch them do well, even with a backup quarterback that is just very good at running the ball and has not made the worst mistakes. Let's hope the Packers can continue this formula because, the North is still kind of open for them to regain after last year kind of stumbling on it just a little bit. Number 6, speaking of the North, the Detroit Lions. I still like this Lions team. Sure, their record in terms of games and who they beat might be a bit questionable, but Lions have been a really good team so far this season, I would say. The defense is still humming and hawing. They had a 5-sack mans. I think that was week 2 with their D end from Michigan. And they were doing so wonderfully great. I really like Jared Goff with his receiving core. The addition of the running game still being fantastic. Montgomery and Gibbs are a 1-2 combo that is a terror for the NFL and opposing teams. And the defense is not bad at all. They stifled the Arizona Cardinals, who looked like, at least a week ago, a pretty high-powered offense this week. So I got them number 6 in the rankings. Number 5 is the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are a bit high, you might be thinking. Seattle, though, 3-0, and I do value that they won enough. Their defense is explosively good, kind of like that Packers defense. They made huge strides to make it so much better. And the new head coach, McDonald, has got these boys playing very well. Geno Smith is still doing crazy, surprising things like he was doing last season. I think he locked in a game win by using his legs. And that's a good element that he brings to it. I think the running game for Seattle is actually good as well. Even in the absence of Walker, which Seattle fans really want to see back real soon, I think Charbonnet has did a great job last week, or this week, I mean, and running the ball well. And the receiving core is great. Jackson Njigba has been a fun receiver to watch. He might actually be the number 2, just getting over Tyler Lockett, who's still in the building and still getting good catches. And you can't forget about DK Metcalf. The Seattle team right now is number 1 in the NFC West. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody. But they also didn't suspect that the Niners would be a hospital ward. So that's all we could really think about. Seattle, though, great team, great defense. At number 4, speaking of great defenses, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers do things weird, don't they? You know, at the beginning of the season, we thought, okay, look at their quarterback room. It's Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Who's going to win? Well, Wilson is our starter, say the Steelers. But Wilson is not playing because he's injured. In comes Justin Fields, and Fields, notoriously awful in Chicago. Many people thought it was him over Luke Getsy. Try again. But instead, Fields is doing exactly what he needs to do, which is just pick it up with his legs and not make too many mistakes. And he's doing a very good job at that in relief for Wilson, who I think they still want to be the starter this season, but he's still healing. The Steelers defense, though, is so good. They are world beaters, especially TJ Watt. TJ Watt is a madman. I think he might actually have a better career than JJ will. Like, straight up. His brother. I think he surpasses his brother on a lot of stuff for them. So I got the Steelers at number 4. I believe they are the leaders in the NFC North right now. They look pretty good. Pretty damn good. Good job, Steelers. Mike Tomlin might just drag y'all to another wild card game yet again. Or maybe they overperform, kind of like in, what was that, 2013 or 14. Steelers. Congrats on that wild card spot, Otto. They'll never have a losing season. Number 3 is the Kansas City Chiefs. All right. I chose 3 for the Chiefs, not because I'm a Raiders fan. No, Chiefs fans, you could put your pitchforks down. I think Kansas City wins all have been controversial and all have been by barely anything. Patrick Mahomes is not playing himself right now at this very moment. Even he has admitted that he has not felt like himself. For the running game has been now slashed with Pacheco being out. And, Kareem Hunt's back in the building, so maybe he can make great strides for this Chiefs offense yet again. But, you don't have the best running spots at this very moment. Travis Kelce seemingly having an off first stint of the year. That offense is still good, and the Chiefs are still good, and the defense, I think, has played well even when they got rid of their star corner. And the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. I don't think they're like getting calls or anything. I'm never one of those type of fans, but Kansas City still has a legendary coaching staff, a legendary, already feels like playing, actively playing Hall of Famer in Mahomes, and it hurts me to say that, obviously. But Chiefs, number 3. I think they just need to dominate a little bit more. Call me not much of a believer yet. I need to see Mahomes just absolutely sling the ball. And it'll happen very soon. Trust me, the Chiefs are still trying to three-peat. And 3-0 is a great start for them. Number 2, the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, boy. Minnesota. I cannot sing your praises more than I have ever been, man. This Minnesota Vikings defense, I thought wasn't going to be game changers. I thought they might be good, but this team is very good. This defense is very good. Taking down some of the top teams in the first 3 weeks. Sam Darnold is no longer the ghost seer. He's a ghost whisperer, I guess. He is a gunslinging guy who has absolutely revitalized his career, at least for the first part of this season. And obviously, when you have Justin Jefferson and Addison on your squad, you're going to have some good good games. But he's been giving him the ball very well. Last week, he had a 4-touchdown, no interception, barn burner of a game. This Minnesota Vikings team is really good. And they might be the kings of the NFC North. Don't tell that to the Packers fans. But this team's dangerous. And Sam Darnold, if he keeps up how he's playing, could have the Vikings as a contender in the NFC. Not even joking. The best team, though, in the country is the Buffalo Bills. What we saw on Monday Night Football really cemented that the Buffalo Bills are the kings of the NFL right now. All right, Josh Allen is a freak. He's a literal freak right now. Some of the throws on the run that are on the dot, on the money, especially against Jacksonville on Monday night, was spectacular. It's inhuman how good he can play. But it's not just Josh Allen, which could be the concern that they're running him only. No. Cook, James Cook, the running back for the Bills, is really good too. Cook can run the ball extremely well. The absence of Diggs isn't bothering the Bills right now because this receiving core is doing great things with Josh Allen throwing the ball. Shakir is a receiver that's had a fun time in this offense. I mean, this offense is basically what the Bills are going to get to the promised land. I think their games were like 35, 42, 47. Like, they could score on you in a whim. And the defense does its job pretty damn well. Von Miller's still on that defensive end side. He has been playing pretty damn good football. You know, the secondary hasn't missed too much of a step at all. You know, Damar Hamlin, shouts out to you with that pick, his first of his career since he literally died on the field. It's been dominant so far for the Bills. I think they're the number 1 team, and right now, if you want to do way too early predictions, they are going to be the kings of the AFC conference. They just are. They're that damn good right now. I don't know if anyone is really going to be able to stop them.